Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Yakakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who ruled well, who taught me this truth, being a great example to the younger brothers. Sincere salutations and respect to the hopeful elect pushing this truth across the four winds of the earth. Shalom. This lesson is just on the mark of the beast being a microchip, RFID microchip. I took some notes from the elders and apostles, going over it, reading out of the book titled "The Mark of the Beast is the Microchip," and they read out of the 7th chapter. So I'm just going to go over the 7th chapter as well, and just read the notes that I got. Lord willing, to be edifying. So this is chapter 7, titled the mark right around the corner. It says, amidst ongoing depreciation and devaluing of the global currencies, weakening economies, and the increasing advertising and endorsement of propaganda of RFID technology in the media, and the recent legislation such as the NDAA designed to strip fundamental liberties and institute martial law, the conditions and circumstances seem ripe, fitting, and ideal to impose the chip upon the population, fulfilling prophecy. And when you look down there at what happened in Venezuela in 2016, in order for them to get help from the government or anything of that nature, they had to use their fingerprints, So everything is geared towards biometrics, which is an eye scan or a finger scan or whatever they're using to identify you, biometrics. The next step after that is the RFID microchip, because with the chip, it will have all your information stored in it. It won't just have your finances. It's going to have everything about you. And they want to do that to get everybody under one banner, so to speak. Back in 2016, articles were posting saying that over 10,000 people had already received a permanent human RFID microchip implant. Back in the book, it says it's no mere coincidence that the elite banking families, which are so-called Illuminati, they appointed Barack Obama into his current position, as his lot was to unite the nations and to usher the New World Order, being Nimrod of ancient Babylon in the reincarnation. Talking about Obama, Now Ecclesiastes 1:9 grab that precept. It says, the thing that have been, it is which shall be. Right? And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. So Obama is the deceptive fasci and puppet frontman for the elites to propagate and introduce the chip, And the time for it is now, It says, going back to the book, in the spirit of the Most High, via the elders of GMS, the identity and breakdown of the mark of the beast has been deciphered and revealed. In fact, the mark of the beast is here and being used extensively in vehicles, public transit, buses, subway, retail, and inventory systems, the military, passports, libraries, museums, schools, universities, hospitals, healthcare, and credit and debit cards. Okay. Now, this book, The Mark of the Beast is the Microchip, was written in 2013. And so now, how much more has that usage of the chip increased? And this is reading as a blueprint to what is actually happening right now. You know, RFID usage has amplified and intensified since its creation and has expanded its use to track animals such as livestock, pets, and humans. You know, notice, before they actually introduce a new drug or anything, they test it on animals first, like lab rats. Um, they use them and monkeys as well. They use these RFID implants to locate the animals. You know, there was an account with a toddler being eaten by an alligator, and the government was making an inquiry of would the child been safer if he had an implantable RFID chip inside of him or to something of that effect. So pretty much they're pushing this, and every time something happens, they're pushing it more and more. It says in the back in the book, children, toddlers, prisoners, etc. The idea or notion that a small microchip will someday be implanted into humans is no longer science fiction or fantasy. It's reality. So like it's reality, evidently in RFID technology. It says application and use will continue and advance on the masses on a larger scale, which is happening right now. It says ultimately becoming a norm and standard in our society and world. And that's why they're pushing it now to get people more and more conditioned to the RFID and the acceptance of it. That's why when you go into the store, and you have a credit card and you no longer swipe it, but you hear the cashier all the time saying you got use the chip. And why? Because they're slowly but surely getting the people used to that, getting the mind to accept that this is the everyday norm. So when they actually put the chip into people, they're already going to be programmed to using the chip anyway. It says back in the book, we are presently in the time of warning our people, namely the elect of Israel. That is the purpose and intention of this book. And the job of the men of the Lord, the men, those aware of the truth and are not teaching. This is the job of the men of the Lord to warn our people. It says in the book, those aware of the truth and are not teaching our nation, who fail to notify, warn, and alert the people of the impending perils of accepting this chip, indeed do greatly err. That word err, it means to go off. Like it's like an error. You're erring, you're not doing something right that you're supposed to be doing. As their blood will be required at the watchman's hand. These people blood that the men are warning are going to be required at their hands. Are men of Israel that are aware of the truth and not teaching it. Ezekiel 3:17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth, and give them warning from me. A watchman watches for what? Of the impending danger that's coming and warns the people. That's part of blowing the trumpet. So when the people It's so the people could get themselves ready. Those that get ready, good for them. Those that don't prepare themselves, tough. Because the Most High, it says, give them warning from me. Because the Most High himself, he ain't finna come down here and tell you, he ain't finna warn you. That's why he got his man down here to warn you, to tell you what's going on. And if you take heed, you do. And if you don't, that's your problem. Revelation 3:10, another precept. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, and try them that dwell upon the earth. So this is going to be a worldwide thing, So like the situation that's going on in Venezuela that was going on a couple years ago, and it's still, still going on. But it says those people were experiencing devastation, hunger, malnutrition. They were bugging out because they can't get the basic essentials like from day to day, like toiletries and food, things of that nature. So right now, so they were feeling the crunch, as the whole, hey man, everybody's been about to start feeling this crunch, and they were desperate. So whatever the government presented to them, to bring them back to normalcy, they were gonna accept it, just so they could eat again, just so they could go back to school, just so they could watch TV, electricity come back on, lights, smartphones, laptops. Of course they're gonna accept what the government proposes to them to get them back to normalcy. Now, the term normalcy bias or normality bias is a mental state that people enter into when facing a disaster. It causes people, it's like people want to go back to normal so bad that they don't prepare for what's coming, for the reality that they're going into, devastation, preparing, mentally and physically. So it says, it causes people to underestimate both the possibility of a disaster and its possible effects. So they for say, okay, we're just gonna keep reading. This may result in situations where people fail to adequately prepare, and on a larger scale, the failure of the governments to include the populace in its disaster preparations. Because the government, they're not concerned with helping everybody. Just like in that movie Deep Impact, where they showed impending danger happening on the earth, and they only had enough room for certain teachers, astronauts, physicists, and doctors. So the places where they had reserved to be going, they only reserved them for a few, and the rest of the populace were not included in it. So that's what's happening now. When the government sets up for the continuity of the government, they're not thinking about the populace of the people. They're thinking about the continuance of the society through the government, not the people. That's why they plan on destroying 7.4 billion people on the planet. So they're only concerned with about 500 million people to be able to control them. So about the rest of the people, they don't give a damn. So whatever kills them quicker is better for them and their plans and their agendas, going back to normalcy bias, it says on Wikipedia, the assumption that is made in the case of normalcy bias is that disasters never have occurred. It will never occur. So they got people's minds conditioned for disasters. So they always go out and stock up on food and supplies, like for hurricanes or something like that. And they begin to think that, damn, every time they say it's going to be a disaster or a hurricane or something, nothing ever happens. And we always go to the store and buy up everything, and it ends up going bad, But there's going to be a point where people are just going to say, you know what, the hell with it. Just like in the book, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And the disaster's going to come, and they're not going to be prepared. They're going to be up shit's creek. It says, it can result in the ability of people to cope with the disaster once it occurs. And the point is people cannot grip their minds around some type of disaster happening, and they're not able to cope with it. That's why during 9/11, people bugged out, because America has been set up as a comfort for these people. These people have become lazy, out of shape, complacent, and in their wildest dreams, they can't even fathom something like this happening on the soils of America, because this media got them so pumped up that this America, and that nothing could ever touch America. But that balloon is about to be deflated soon. It says people with a normalcy bias have difficulty reaching to something they have not experienced before. People also tend to interpret warnings in the most optimistic way possible, seizing on any ambiguities to infer a less serious situation, right? And that's why these international bankers, they got you so-called Americans in a trick bag, and the world pretty much in a trick bag. So all you got to do is ask the people in Venezuela. You could see the look of desperation on these people. They never thought that this would happen, because Venezuela was like a baby America. They were doing phenomenal. Their oil made them one of the richest countries in South America. They had no idea that this would happen in a couple months. And now it's so much going on. It was so much going on down there that people were killing each other for food. Desperation of children starving from malnutrition. Everything is shut down, and all they could think about was surviving and eating, and not anything else. It's a precept. Ezekiel 3:18. It says, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die. Now the Lord put the prophets out on the street corners to warn you through the words of the Most High that you're going to die if you don't get yourself together. And the Lord speaks in metaphors. So when he brings all this destruction that he's speaking of, that's him speaking when he brings the destruction. So if he kills 3,000 people, that's him saying, I don't like what you're doing. And that's him speaking in a metaphor. Okay? Now, it says, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, the men of Israel, and thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked from his evil way, nor learning these scriptures and preaching them to our people, nor speaketh to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity. Now, the Lord said to give them warning, whether they hear or whether they forbear. It's not our job to make nobody get it. Our job is to tell what the Lord said to tell, and those who are a part of the elect will get it and be sealed and to be delivered. And those that are not part of the elect will reject it and die. It's just that simple. This is a precept for the Lord speaking in a metaphor, by bringing destruction. When destruction happens, that's the Lord speaking. It says in Isaiah 29:6, the book of Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. Okay, it says with earthquake. So get ready for more earthquakes. Do you know how devastating an earthquake can be? Do you know how many earthquakes were in Puerto Rico? They've been saying that the West Coast is about due for a major earthquake. And I've been hearing that for years too. Now, in Isaiah 29:6, the Lord says he will visit the earth with devouring fire. Now that's also talking about gunfire. It's the Lord speaking. Okay? He speaks through gunfire as well. So these things are happening. And the Lord is showing us and showing the world certain examples with certain countries that are experiencing these things that are going to come upon the whole world. That's why we need the script. That's why we read the scripture that says the hour of temptation is going to come to try the whole world. Ezekiel. Okay, well, now let's go back into Ezekiel 3:18. Now it says, remember, if thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked to save his life, the same wicked man will die. But his blood will I require at thine hand. But his blood, the wicked man that you didn't warn, his blood will be required at your hand. That's why we have to warn the people by standing firm and teaching the truth of the Lord, beginning with the names of the Lord and his only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Okay, the microchip being a mark of the beast is what we have to teach as well. The microchip being a mark of the beast, among many other things that we have to teach. This is warning our people the right way. Okay, got a precept. Luke 21:25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon. So we're supposed to teach that about the signs in the sun, the eclipses, and all that, because Yahweh Shah said it. And in the stars, back in Luke 21:25, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth distress of nations. Okay, so it says, and an example of this is in Venezuela. Were they not in a state of distress? It says, and upon the earth distress of nations. Okay, so were they not in a state of distress in Venezuela? So we're supposed to get into all this, with perplexity. The scriptures say with perplexity. Perplexity means people not knowing what's going on. A state of confusion. And we're not confused because the scriptures say we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. So when we see something like Venezuela, we know part of it is a false flag, an operation by the wicked to try to bring in this new world order. Okay. Now back in the book, it says in ancient Egypt, Moses prepared Israel to avoid the Lord's judgment against Egypt when he smote the firstborn of all the land of Egypt, known today as the Passover, Exodus the 12th chapter. America is spiritually the contemporary modern day Egypt. Okay? America is spiritually the contemporary modern day Egypt. Revelations 11 and 8, it explains that. And likewise, and will likewise receive the Lord's judgment as Egypt did. Revelation, the 18th chapter, goes into this. Okay? Now the fact that the true breakdown concerning the mark of the beast is being revealed and the men of the Lord are blowing the trumpet, it is indicative that we are rapidly approaching this monumental biblical prophecy. Undeniably, that is the charge, obligation, and responsibility of the prophets, the watchmen, as it says in Isaiah 58 and 1, Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 17 through 18, Joel chapter 2, verse 1, Amos chapter 3, verse 6 through 7. Okay? The word prophet, it means to say before. The word prophet means to say before, to speak. It means speaker. And the word Phoenician comes from prophet. It means foreteller. Phoenician means foreteller. Nabaya in the Hebrew. Spokesman, a speaker, the prophet. Throughout the scriptures, the Most High speaks through his prophets. Like in Jeremiah 25 and 4. Okay? Now the Most High is being bound by his word, unable to lie, as it says in Numbers 23 and 19, as well as Isaiah 55 verse 11, Titus chapter 1 verse 2. These scriptures reassure us that the mark of the beast must come to pass before the destruction of America. Now, in Amos 3, let's get that. Amos 3. Amos chapter 3, verse 1 says, "Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known." Hold on, Salakia. Okay, now this is the Most High speaking. I meant to go straight to verse 7, but it's fine. I'm going to jump to verse 7. Now this is the Most High speaking to Israel. It says, Amos 3 and 7, "Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets." Okay. Now, a recent survey conducted by Accenture, this is back in the book. says a recent survey done by Accenture, this is an information technology, IT. It's a consulting and services company. It shows they did a survey showing that half of all U.S. retailers have already adopted this RFID technology, and that most retailers and suppliers will be using RFID in the near future. Which they're doing that now. They went from regular credit cards, debit cards, welfare cards. Now they got the chips in all those cards. You went from actually having food stamp dollars, with the funny colors on, to the chip cards. Now some of these other Israelite camps will go into the mark of the beast, and they say that we already got the mark of the beast because it's in a smartphone, which shows that they don't know what they're talking about, because that will mean that they got the mark. Now, how are you a man of the Lord, of the Most High, when the scriptures say that the men of the Lord won't take the mark? Okay? No, but because your smartphone has the RFID chip in it, and the credit cards and other devices, that doesn't mean that you've accepted the mark of the beast, because the mark of the beast is when you actually accept the physical chip in your right hand, your left hand, your butt cheek, and your forehead. Okay? That's when you've accepted it. Not carrying around a smartphone. Okay, again, this is back in the book. It says notable apparel and footwear merchandisers, clothes and shoe stores such as JCPenney's, Bloomingdale, Macy's, and Walmart are all using RFID. RFID technology is also being employed in electronics and video gaming. The wireless controller of the Wii, the Nintendo video game consoles, the consoles use RFID tags. There's speculation that the RFID is the new successor to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi technology, as the three are all wireless. They're network systems utilizing radio waves. Okay, so seeing that RFID science and technology continues to expand globally in virtually all fields of life, there are now hundreds of companies around the world producing RFID chips, such as Impage Inc., Verichip, Bluebeam, IBM, Positive ID, and Applied Digital Solutions, just to name a few. Together with the high demand of RFID tags and chips, particularly among large retail corporations and department stores, coupled with the struggling economies and financial centers of the world, right? It's for certain and inevitable that the RFID